A new warning tonight from the American justice system that distracted drivers will be treated as criminals. A landmark verdict in Massachusetts today convicted a driver of vehicular homicide, and his crime was blamed on texting while driving. The significance reaches far beyond this one case.
The problem of distracted drivers. We're not talking about eating a burger or making a cell phone call when behind the wheel. Police say it's hard to believe what people will do while driving. And the question is, should some of these things be criminal?
Texting and driving, you know the dangers, but what if typing and driving was part of your job? That is the reality for some police officers in North Texas.
NBC5 Investigates showed you officers using computers causing serious crashes. And tonight we know the problem is even bigger than when we first broke the story months ago.
A 14-year-old is dead and a 19-year-old charged with vehicular manslaughter. The Highway Patrol says it all happened when the driver reached for her phone. The CHP says the driver plowed into 4 teenagers in Manteca early Saturday morning. And now they're calling it a case of distracted driving.
How could this happen?
All call signed. We've just received numerous complaints regarding a speeding vehicle that was last seen southbound.
Roger, hand that speeding vehicle. In pursuit. Vehicle smashed into my car. Stand by for details.
How could this happen?
So, you can multitask at home or in the office. That sounds perfect. But don't do it behind the wheel of a 4,000-pound vehicle traveling on the road at any speed. Imagine you're involved in a car accident and you caused injuries to someone, or worse. What if you die? What about getting the call that your loved ones will not be home? What if you hit the road going 65 mph while riding your motorcycle because someone just had to pick up the cell phone and begin to text and drive? Now, the creator of DistractedDriversBusted.com, the only walking SIG alert. It's Howard Drescher.
Welcome to the only show that was created to help keep you alive behind the wheel. I'm Howard Drescher, the creator of DistractedDriversBusted.com, and now this podcast. I created a reality TV show that puts the perpetrator and the victim together for a better understanding and a time for healing and forgiveness. Of course, we all know that may not happen easy as we think. You can always like us and follow us on Facebook at DistractedDriversBusted.com. Of course, Twitter is DistractedDBTV. It's sad to say, but it's true. But by the time you get done listening to this show, someone will get into an accident, someone will get injured, and yes, someone will be killed by a distracted driver, if not the distracted drivers themselves. And it's all for what? To keep up with social media, get directions on their phone from the GPS, whatever the case might be. If not that, putting makeup on, shaving, checking email, texting, and of course, here's a new one. I was driving down the road the other day, and there was a guy watching TV from his iPad. He was watching the World Series. Although we weren't moving very fast, the idea that he was doing it, I kind of changed lanes as quick as possible. And just as I said, when you get in your car today, look to the left and look to the right. I can guarantee you 80% of the time, you're going to see somebody who's been distracted. They're either on their phone, talking on their phone, texting their phone on their phone. If they're not eating, it's a choice. Make the right choice. This is a nightmare not only for me, but for millions of people around the world. And yes, this is far worse than what we even thought. Today's show will help shed some light on the distracting drivers and how dangerous it can really be. I talked about it last week. I talked about the OMG factor. It's like you're driving down the road and the sands of time are running out. Yeah, you may pull into your driveway before the last little grain of sand falls through. Congratulations, you made it home. But sooner or later, that sand is going to go ahead and it's going to run out. And when it runs out, it's going to be too late. And unfortunately, it's not a good thing. All right. Hey, as of November 1st, we went ahead and launched a 30-day glove box challenge. And here's how it works. Make a short video of yourself getting into your car and putting your cell phone in the glove box and starting your engine. 30 or 40 seconds. That's all you need. Next, go ahead and post it on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and tag a friend to join you in the challenge. And then the third thing, go to www.distracteddriversbusted.com to register for a chance to win free T-shirts, hats. Again, a 30 or 40-second video, and it is a 30-day glove box challenge. Everybody knows it takes about 21 days to break a habit. Put that cell phone in the glove box, start your engine, and drive off to work. You know, I've been doing it for a couple of days now. I made it. It's very simple. It was so easy. When we come back, my guest is a lawyer. You can find him on Twitter at Rabbi Lawyer. Michael Rubenstein will be my guest. We'll be back.
You're listening to the DistractedDrivers.com podcast. We'll be right back.
Hi, James. My mate Jules fancies
Please
you.
don't.
Cass. It's not even funny now. Let me just get his number.
Now, back to the DistractedDrivers.com podcast.
Welcome to the DistractedDriversBusted.com podcast. And of course, my next guest, I told you in segment 1, he's a lawyer. He's an accident lawyer. And how I found him was actually by being introduced from a lady that I had on the air. You know her as the marker lady, Margot Gravy. Okay? She was the mom that has the magic markers that goes and writes on the back of the windows of her car about a distracted driving and how to stop being a distracted driver and how she got praised by folks on the freeway. Of course, as you all know, on October 25th, in honor of Connor, they had a fun run. I got to meet Margot, and hopefully one day I get to meet my next guest, Michael Rubenstein. You know him as Rabbi Lawyer, and you can follow him on Twitter at Rabbi Lawyer. Michael, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Howard.
All
Great
right.
to be here.
Great. So I was introduced to you via Margot, and she said that you are a wonderful person, and come to find out in talking to you, you just live just down the road from her.
I sure do, and I've a couple months ago I noticed her campaign, people spreading the message on their cars. I thought it was brilliant. I signed on to it myself. We're all doing what we can to, try to prevent distracted driving. We still got a ways to go, as you know.
Okay, yes, obviously we all have things to do, and I'm going to toss something out to you at the end of this segment, and I'm going to see if you can do it. Okay, as you know, that Margot has done her deal with the markers in prevention of this whole scenario of distracted driving, due to the fact that her husband actually rides his bicycle or up around there in L.A., and he has gotten almost hit on more than one occasion, and she's trying to prevent it. Now, let me ask you this. Have you taken on any cases from dealing with distracted driving?
Well, Howard, as a car accident lawyer, that's pretty much the only kind of cases I handle. Most accidents happen because one of the drivers isn't paying attention, whether he's distracted or not. And so pretty much all my cases involve one driver doing something that he shouldn't be doing, being distracted and hurting somebody else.
Okay, now let me ask you this, because I know you got involved in this because of what your profession is, but there is such a thing as a true accident, right?
Absolutely. I see it in my practice every day.
Okay, and then there is something that is not an accident because we have a choice as to pick up the phone or not.
That's exactly right. The law, Howard, an accident that's truly preventable, the way I see it is that that's not an accident. Somebody consciously did something, somebody made a decision, or somebody was inattentive, and as a result, they hurt somebody else. Now, that's in contradistinction to a total accident where, let's say, a tree just falls on someone, where you don't know the tree was sick beforehand or something like that. True accidents do happen. The majority of the cases that I see and the cases that I handle, we call them accidents, but really it's negligence. It's somebody doing something that they shouldn't have been doing or not doing something.
Exactly, like picking up their phone, texting, trying to surf the net, eating, putting up makeup, guys shaving. I saw today when I drove into work, and Michael, you're not going to believe this. This lady was talking on the phone, and she had papers in her hand, and she's talking on the phone and flipping pages while she's trying to drive. I'm like, oh, I just automatically pulled over 1 or 2 lanes away from her because I knew, she's headed for disaster.
Yeah, you want to stay clear of somebody like that. Howard, this morning I was taking my daughter to school, and she pointed out to me there was a driver in the car next to us, and as you say on your show, look to the left, look to the right, you're going to see someone who's distracted, right? So my daughter pointed out to me somebody was driving. He had his hands on the steering wheel, 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock, and his cell phone was clutched in the middle of the wheel. So, in other words, his cell phone was up on the steering wheel so he could read his TMZ or whatever it was he was doing. He just couldn't take his attention off his phone. This afternoon I saw another woman driving with one of those giant tea tumbler cups.
Yeah.
She was stirring her tea with one of those huge spoons. I don't know if it was a tea or a latte or something. Her hands weren't even on the steering wheel. You've got to think, how is that woman operating that car? Is she steering with her legs? Her tea is more important than her driving. It's every day. When I was growing up, there was a Guns N' Roses song, Welcome to the Jungle. Driving around in Los Angeles, that song pops into my head. It's like a jungle out there.
It is, and it's getting more and more. When I was driving in today, not only did I see that lady do what she did, but I was thinking in my head, and I can say this because I've been in combat. When I was in the Marine Corps, I spent 20 years in, and I did go to combat. And it is almost, thank you, it is almost like now driving, it is almost a combat situation. And
when I was 16 years old, the DMV handbook said you have to be an aggressive driver, defensive driving. It's a key to survival out there. It's really, you can do what you can to be safe. Unfortunately, the guy in the next lane might not be doing that.
Exactly, and it's true, and it's like, I know, and I talked about it in my show last week. It's the OMG moment, and quite honestly, to tell you the truth, when I started ranting about the OMG moment, where it's kind of like when you're driving down the road and you have your hourglass, and that's all it is. It's just like when you're a youngster and your mom or your dad were cooking in the kitchen and they had that 3-minute egg timer. They flip it over.
Yep.
It's kind of like the lottery, and I talked about that last week. It's if you want to hit the lottery that you're playing with right now with your cell phones, whether you make it to work or not, sooner or later, your number's going to hit. You don't want that number to hit because that means either one, you've killed somebody, you've gotten into an accident. If not, you probably killed yourself. Now, the good OMG moment is actually going to the store and buying a lottery ticket. And for me, when I drive to work, Michael, it is crazy. So every time that I make it, I feel, yes, I made it to work, and thank God I did.
Absolutely. And as far as going, as you mentioned, it's the kind of lottery you don't want to win. I would compare it a little bit more to Russian roulette.
Okay, that's great. I like that.
It's a total epidemic out there with people with distractions and driving. And one analogy I thought of, Howard, is when you get on your United Airlines flight, do you want to know that the pilot is playing Candy Crush on his phone while taking off? Or, I don't know, sending messages on WhatsApp while landing the jumbo jet? We would not tolerate airline pilots doing that. Why do we tolerate drivers doing that?
It's because people are not just getting the message. They're not getting the message at all, Michael. Well, let me ask you this. You know, in the cases that you've worked, I mean, do you still follow the people as a lawyer? Like, I know in the medical field, when you go, obviously, to the hospital, I know some doctors that still stay in touch with their patients, even long term. Do you stay in touch with the clients that you have?
Absolutely. With me, my clients, it's more of a relationship. So it's I'll get invitations to family events, birthday parties, bar mitzvahs. In fact, some of my best clients I've actually gotten at bar mitzvahs. I'm here in the Jewish community. And so it's something I try to keep in touch with them and celebrate their life moments with them, even when they're no longer my clients. That way, it's not just about representing them in their case, but you're representing a person. You're helping somebody who got hurt, and you can make a real difference in their lives. And it's always great to stay in touch with them and to remind them that I'm here for them. I'm here for their family and friends, and most of all, I'm here to hold people accountable for when they might get hurt on the road out there.
And what does this mean to you as a lawyer overall? I mean, I'm sure it kind of rips at your heartstrings, and it's kind of like, I don't know, you must, maybe you're different than I am, but maybe when you go home at night at the end of the day and you see what could happen and you have seen exactly what happened to people, overall, what does it mean? Does it eat at you, or do you have like nightmares or what?
Well, thankfully, I don't have nightmares. What eats at me is how people really just treat other people on the road with disrespect. There's the cyclist in the bike lane and the guy texting and veers into the bike lane, and as your guest Margot said, her husband's a cyclist. That kind of thing's happening every day. A cyclist was just killed last week in Los Angeles when a container fell off of a truck and crushed the cyclist in the bike lane. Now, that may have been, I'm not familiar with the particulars of that case. That may have been an accident. But this kind of thing's happening every day. And part of the reason why I do what I do, Howard, is because when people get hurt in accidents, who are they going to turn to? Most of the time, there's an insurance company. And Howard, anybody who's ever had to deal with an insurance company knows they're not very easy to deal with. One of my first cases, a client got hit at 60 miles an hour. By the way, he was hit by a guy using his cell phone, the GPS app on his cell phone. He was visiting from out of state, didn't know where he was going, and wasn't familiar with Los Angeles area traffic. My client stopped in traffic on the 101, and this guy slams into him at 60 miles an hour because he's staring at his phone, trying to figure out how to get to Disneyland. And so the insurance company in that case, the next day, called my client, offered him $600. His car was totaled, $30,000 worth of damage. I mean, this guy's lucky he didn't get a broken neck. They offered him $600.
Exactly.
This is what we're dealing with insurance companies. They have cute TV commercials. Well, what they don't tell you on those commercials is that when it actually comes time for them to pay you or pay for your accident claim, they're going to try to find an excuse not to. So a lot of times clients are coming to me feeling like they're hurt, they're alone, they're confused, and my message to them is that they don't have to be alone. It's really David versus Goliath out there, and I'm proud to take the fight to these Goliath insurance and companies on behalf of my injured clients.
Exactly, and I appreciate that. You're listening to DistractedDriversBusted.com. My special guest is Michael Rubenstein, and you can find him on Twitter at Rabbi Lawyer. And we're going to be taking a short, quick commercial break. We're going to be right back after this. And don't forget, Michael, I still have a challenge for you. I want to see if you're up to it. We're going to get to that when we get back. We'll be back right after this.
You're listening to the DistractedDrivers.com podcast. We'll be right back.
Hi, Dave. My mate Jules fancies you. Don't. Cass. It's not a free. It's not even funny now. Let me just get his number.
Now, back to the DistractedDrivers.com podcast.
Welcome back to the DistractedDriversBusted.com podcast. And, of course, you can follow us on Facebook at DistractedDriversBusted.com. And, of course, on Twitter at DistractedDBTV. And, of course, my special guest today is Rabbi Lawyer. His name is Michael Rubenstein. And, of course, you can follow him on Twitter at Rabbi Lawyer. And, of course, Facebook and Twitter, they're both the same, at RabbiLawyer.com?
Rabbi Lawyer, at Rabbi Lawyer. Well, my website is www.rabbilawyer.com, RabbiLawyer.com, and Facebook, it's Rabbi Lawyer.
And, of course, now I know you probably got a phone number that you want people to contact you. Go ahead and give that out once or twice. That way we can get you some, actually, I'm going to call it unwanted business, because we don't want you to have this kind of business. We want you to have the good kind of business that are real accidents.
Absolutely. So, Howard, my phone number is 213-293-6075, 213-293-6075, and I invite your listeners to call me for questions about their case.
Okay, now let me ask you this, Michael. What is the hardest thing about taking some of these cases that you have to deal with?
Well, that's a great question, Howard. The hardest thing is sometimes clients don't understand maybe that cases take a long time. I just filed a lawsuit last week. It wasn't a car accident case. It was a trip and fall. Somebody tripped on the sidewalk and broke his foot because there was a 6-inch wooden stake in the sidewalk that wasn't supposed to be there. So I filed the lawsuit last week. The good news is I have a trial date. The bad news is that it's not till May 1st, 2017.
Wow.
The court system is backed up. There's budget cuts. As you know, state government, there's all sorts of budgetary issues. So sometimes it takes clients a long time before they can have their day in court. Insurance companies use this as leverage to try to get clients to settle for less money. You know, they'll say, why don't you take $20,000 now? It can be in your pocket now. Or if you want, you can wait 3 years and maybe get more. Unfortunately, a lot of times clients think that that's a good deal. And so my job is to convince them that's not a good deal. You're entitled to more money. We're going to fight, even if it takes us more time. We're going to have our day in court, and we're not going to let the insurance company stonewall us.
That's the bully syndrome, is it not?
Absolutely.
That, you know, like, hey, take now, just kind of, it's kind of what I call hush money. Just hurry up, take it, and get out of here, close the books on it, and keep going?
Absolutely, and that's not something I let happen in my cases, and nobody should let that happen.
Well, like, what do you do, like, after working these cases? I mean, there's got to be some way to unwind from having all this stuff thrown at you, and I'm sure that some of the cases that you take are pretty out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said before, Howard, in every one of my cases, somebody's coming to me when they're hurt, when they're injured, when they're confused. Before I called into your show, just got off the phone with a client, was rear-ended by another woman on her college student on her phone, rear-ended at about 40 miles an hour. This guy's got 2 bulging discs in his spine. He's in pain. He's sitting at a desk every single day. He doesn't know what to do. He called me, and we're going to do the best job we can for him. So this kind of thing's happening every day. But as far as unwinding, I'm a family man. I got a great wife. My wife's the one who got me to open my own practice to begin with. She believed in me before I believed in me, and I'm glad I followed her advice. It's been very, very lucrative and very successful. I've got 2 great kids. I'm thankful for all my blessings in life, and I'm thankful that every day I get to get up and fight for my injured clients.
My special guest here is Michael Rubenstein, and, of course, you can follow him on Twitter at Rabbi Lawyer. He's easy to find, and, of course, on Facebook and Twitter, RabbiLawyer.com. Let me ask you this, Michael. I want to ask you this because we here at DistractedDriversBusted.com had just started on November 1st a challenge that we sent out some videos, myself or Gina Rose and a couple other people have sent out videos in regards to our 30-day challenge. And our 30-day challenge is what I call the glove box challenge. Basically, all you're going to have to do is 3 simple steps. 1, make a short video, 30, 40 seconds long, of somebody filming you or your wife, their cell phone in the glove box, posting it on Facebook and Twitter with the hashtag, It's Not Worth Your Life. And then, of course, go ahead to www.distracteddriversbusted.com and register to win T-shirts, bumper stickers, and cups and hats and stuff like that. Michael, let me ask you this. Are you up for that challenge? Can you post a video and send it out?
Howard, I've got great news for you. I'm on day 3 of the 30-day glove box challenge. I heard it on your show a couple days ago, so that's what I've been doing. And I'm definitely up for the challenge. I look forward to tackling that challenge in the days coming up ahead.
Okay. Quite honestly, I think that you are definitely more than capable of doing it because I know what you go through probably as a lawyer. I don't know full extent, but I do know that you go through a lot of stuff. So now with that said, let me ask you this. If you were to leave our listeners just a couple of words, and in the back of my mind, I already kind of know what you're going to say, but if you could leave our listeners some wisdom, if you will, what would you say to them?
Well, it's a great question. Well, as you know, as you mentioned earlier on the show, I'm the rabbi lawyer, so I'll draw on the rabbi part of my professional background. The wisdom of our sages, they have an anecdote that says, "Who is wise? One who can foresee consequences of his or her actions." And so when you drive distracted, whether you're using your phone, grooming yourself, reading the newspaper, stirring a giant latte, or one of the other distractions that you mentioned earlier, it's very likely you're going to hurt someone and possibly even yourself. So I would say, Howard, the takeaway is simple. Just put your phone down. Whatever it is you're doing besides for driving, it can wait. Your life is more important. The cyclist in the bike lane next to you, his life's more important. The grandma in the car ahead of you taking her grandkids to ice cream, their lives are more important. The more important thing is keep distractions to a minimum, keep the phone in the glove box, and you may arrive at your location alive.
That's awesome, Michael. I want to thank you for being with us. And again, go ahead and give everybody your Twitter, Facebook, and website and email and phone number one more time.
Absolutely, Howard. My website is www.rabbilawyer.com, and I author a daily blog there on the right side, on the top right. It's called Tort Talk. Twitter @RabbiLawyer. I'm on Facebook @RabbiLawyer. My telephone number is 213-293-6075. If anyone ever has any questions, my email address is michael@rabbilawyer.com.
Michael, I appreciate it. I appreciate you being with me today. And, of course, hopefully you can make a difference in the assistance of people to stop doing what they're doing.
Appreciate it, Howard, and that's my goal.
All right, we'll talk to you in a couple of weeks.
You're listening to the DistractedDrivers.com podcast. We'll be right back.
Hi, Dave. My mate Jules fancies
Please
you.
don't.
Cass, it's not even funny now. Let me just get his number.
Now, back to the DistractedDrivers.com podcast.
Welcome back to the DistractedDriversBusted.com podcast. I want to thank Michael Rubenstein. You can follow him on Twitter @RabbiLawyer.com. His email and website, RabbiLawyer.com. And, of course, Facebook is Rabbi Lawyer. Again, thank you very much, Michael, for being with us. I am looking forward to seeing your video on social media. So when it comes to the 30-day glove box challenge that Michael said that he's going to go ahead and participate in, all you need to do is make a 30 or 40-second video of you getting in your car, putting your cell phone in the glove box, starting the ignition, and having somebody film that and post it on Facebook and Twitter. Tag a friend to join you in the challenge. Then go to DistractedDriversBusted.com to register for your chance to win a T-shirt, or a bumper sticker. Again, I want to thank everybody who has been supporting us here at DistractedDriversBusted.com. I want to tell you that I have met so many people, and I honestly and truly appreciate it. I just want to thank everybody who's supporting us, because it's very important not only to me, but I know it's important to you. And if all of you reach out to your friends, we can stamp this out. We have to stamp it out. Don't forget the 30-day glove box challenge. Need to see those videos.